There are many people who know the beginning of the Power Rangers, which started with the Mighty Morphin series, but very few know the beginning of this story in the comics. Those who have been able to watch the videos of the comics on this channel have been able to realize that these stories are more in-depth and aimed at an adult audience. Unfortunately, many fans are still confused and don't know where to start reading the comics, since the stories they publish always have references to other stories from the past in the comics. Because of this, we have decided to start narrating the comics from the beginning so that we can understand all the stories we will be reading in the future. For those of you who follow the new stories of the comics on this channel, don't panic, we will continue to narrate the new stories when they are published. If you want to start reading the comics on your own, you can start by watching the video we posted on how to read the comics so you can understand this whole universe and where to start. The comics are divided into sagas, with the first saga being titled Green Ranger. We can start by seeing that Tommy Oliver is the Green Ranger, and he is alongside Rita Repulsa. The other Rangers are dead, and that is because Tommy is under Rita's spell. She is very excited about what Tommy has done and starts to congratulate him, telling him that the world is ready for its new beginning. At that moment, the voice of Jason, the Red Ranger, is heard calling Tommy. They were both in the car, and it seems that Tommy was thinking about all of this inside his head. Inside the car was also Rita, who was talking to Tommy and tormenting him. Jason obviously could not see Rita, but Tommy knew she was there. Jason suspects that something is wrong with Tommy, so he starts asking him questions, and he answers that he feels fine, but he is a little nervous because it is the first day he is going to school as a ranger. All the Rangers arrive at the school, and they all meet in the parking lot to have a conversation before entering the building. In this conversation they only talk about the exams they have, and we can start to see the personality of each one. Inside the school they try to talk to Tommy, but they realize that he is distracted and doesn't answer anything they are saying to him. In all this time Rita kept talking to Tommy, and that is why he was distracted. Then he tells the other Rangers that he must go and that he will catch up with them later. On the moon, we can see that at the palace Rita asks Finster if the new monster is ready, and he tells her that this new monster has unconventional weapons for an unconventional war. At the school we can see Tommy, Trini and Kimberly listening to the teacher in a class, and Kimberly sends a message to Tommy telling him that he can smile occasionally. We can see that Tommy liked the message, but suddenly another person enters alerting the students that they should run to the gym as there is an incident in progress. In the background we can hear the screams of the monster that Rita had sent to Earth, and all the students start running towards the gym. The Rangers go outside of the school to see what was going on and notice the giant monster. At that moment, Jason tells the Rangers that it's Morphin time, and all the Rangers begin the transformation. Then the Rangers decide to start big and call the Megazords. The monster continues to destroy the city, and the Rangers arrive with the Dino Megazord and the Dragon Zord to try to stop it. The monster is very strange. It has a circle of light on some parts of its body, and the Rangers are a bit confused because they don't know what it is. They start to think of a strategy to defeat the monster because it has a very strong armor, but at that moment Tommy attacks it with the Dragon Zord without asking the other Rangers. Then the other Rangers enter the fight with the Megazord and grab the monster by the neck so Tommy can attack it. Unfortunately, the Dragon Zord's controls are jammed, and Rita takes the opportunity to tell Tommy that he's nothing without her. The other Rangers are asking Tommy to attack quickly as they can't resist much, and Tommy, angry at Rita's words, takes control of the Dragon Zord. Then he manages to explode the monster with the tail, but Tommy loses control and the Zord is not responding. Because of this, he destroys a part of the bridge, and some people are in danger, so Kimberly goes to the rescue in her Zord. Kimberly's Zord takes off from the Megazord and manages to reach the cars that were about to fall into the water. Tommy is confused because he doesn't know what happened to the Dragon Zord, and in the command center he tries to explain to Zordon what was going on. Then Jason and Tommy start arguing as Jason tells him that he didn't follow orders and Tommy tells him that he didn't understand anything. Zordon stops the fight and talks about the responsibilities each of them has. He also talks about being vigilant, since now that Tommy is not on Rita's team, she is going to come in stronger. This lets us know that the story began after Jason managed to free Tommy from Rita's spell, and although in the TV series they show a Tommy loyal to the Rangers, here we are shown a slightly different story. We get to see that this Tommy is still confused, and Rita can speak to him in his thoughts. We then see Scorpina on a ship under the bridge that the Dragon Zord broke, and she is apparently looking for something. When she finds what she was looking for, we can see that it is a piece of crystal, and then she brings Rita this piece of crystal, still not knowing what it really was. Rita had told Scorpina that the Rangers were going to ignore this crystal, and apparently this is what caused the Dragon Zord to get out of control. Rita is very grateful for Scorpina's work for finding this crystal, and it is apparently very important. Because of this, Scorpina asks Rita what the crystal is. We will be able to see the answer in other comics later on, since this crystal is going to be very important for many stories, including Lord Draken's stories. Bulk and Skull are making a video recapping everything that has happened with the Rangers since the beginning. They begin the video by greeting their audience and introducing themselves to those new so-called subscribers. They start this recording from the juice bar and begin to explain everything they have been able to record about the Power Rangers. They both begin to tell the story of the first day the world was able to hear Rita Repulsa and knew that she wanted to conquer the Earth. Although that day may be remembered as the beginning of an era of terror and ugly monsters, they prefer to see things slightly differently. Even though the world got to meet this terrible witch, they also got to meet their heroes, the Power Rangers. They both start asking questions about who the Rangers are, how they got their powers, and where they keep their giant robots. Bulk then proceeds to answer these questions and says that no one knows the answers for sure. Then Skull says that, if you pay for the premium subscription to the podcast called The Ranger Station, you can listen to them talk about all these theories every week. Bulk gets angry and asks to stop the recording as he wants to do the promo at the end. He then continues the recording by saying that as much as Rita's monsters have tried, they have been no match for the Power Rangers, and that is the reason he has created his own Ranger. In this part, Bulk is talking about the Green Ranger. He then begins to relate the battle that was going on between the Green Ranger and the Power Rangers, as it was a great battle. He says that the Green Ranger seemed unstoppable, and everyone thought the world would fall into Rita's hands. Still, apparently the Rangers found a way to defeat him, and although they are not sure of this, it is what everyone assumes since they are still alive. He also says that 2 days ago we entered a new era as the Power Rangers and the Green Ranger with his Dragon Zord started working together. Despite this, Bulk and Skull don't know if the Power Rangers and the Green Ranger are partners, but they are going to interview the public to find out what they think. In the interviews we can see that there are unknown people, but also Billy, Trini and Tommy appear. The opinion of the unknown people is basically the same. They are all confused and think that the Green Ranger is not trustworthy since the Dragon Zord destroyed the bridge. Obviously, Billy and Trini say that it's good for the Rangers to work as a team, but Tommy doesn't want to answer and simply tells Bulk that he doesn't understand the question. Despite this, Bulk and Skull start pressuring Tommy by asking him to talk about what he thinks of the Power Rangers since he is the new kid in school. At that moment, Kimberly shows up and tells them both not to push Tommy anymore, as with that pressure he can't answer any questions. Tommy asks them to give him time to think about the answers, and they leave in a huff. Kimberly and Tommy continue to walk down the hallways of the school, and the two begin to talk about their plans for later in the day. Kimberly invites Tommy for coffee after practice, and he accepts, very surprised by the invitation. In the classroom we can see Jason sitting behind Zach, who is asleep and starts making a lot of noise. The teacher notices that Zach is asleep and proceeds to wake him up very angrily. Because of this he tells Zach that he is punished after class, and Jason tries to defend him, but the teacher punishes him as well. At lunchtime all the Rangers are gathered at the same table and begin to dialogue about what happened with Zach in class. Then Trini tells them that while Zach and Jason are serving their punishment, she and Billy are going to check the Dragonzord to find out why he didn't respond to Tommy. Kimberly is very concerned and asks Billy if they are going to be able to fix it. Billy obviously replies that he hopes they can make it, since neither of them know what it looks like on the inside. We then see Tommy with his lunch looking for a place to sit, while Rita keeps talking to him to try to manipulate him by humiliating him. She shows him that there are several people watching the video of the Dragonzord destroying the bridge, and uses this to try to blame Tommy for the suffering of the people on that day. Tommy responds to Rita very angrily. He tells her that she won't be able to break him as he is stronger than her and is now a Power Ranger. At that moment, Tommy finds the other Rangers and sits down with them, but unfortunately, the bell rings and the Rangers must go to their classes. Tommy has a different schedule, so he is left alone at the table, but Kimberly reminds him before he leaves that they will see each other later. Bulk and Skull continue to interview people, and this time they are interviewing Jason and Zach. They both try to tell Bulk that the Rangers are a team, and Rita also has a very large team. If the Green Ranger has switched sides, then they don't think that's a bad thing, but Bulk asks him, how do the Rangers know they can trust him? Zach tells him that the Rangers are giving him a chance. Jason ends up replying that everyone deserves a second chance, and if the Rangers believe in that guy, that's good enough for him. Then, at Rita's palace we can see that she is sitting on the throne with the crystal that Scorpina had been looking for, which she wants to know if the crystal is ready. Rita replies that even though the chaos energy caused by the Dragonzord destroying the monster and then the bridge, it was a very good start for an initial charge, even so, they need more. With this we can already know that Rita wants to fill this crystal with evil energy called chaos energy, which she can get when the crystal is near the Green Ranger, and he destroys something. Jason and Zach are serving their punishment, locked in a classroom after school, and since they have plenty of time, they begin to talk. Jason is a little upset that Zach won't tell him what's going on with him because he stayed up at night and that this caused him to fall asleep in class. In the end, Zach tells him that it's a family problem he's having at home, but then asks him if he's also upset that Zordon didn't ask anyone about how they feel about having Tommy on the team. Jason tells him that even though he is a little angry, still, if Zordon believed in them when they started and now he believes in Tommy, then they can't doubt. Now we can see Tommy inside the pocket dimension where Zordon can create a simulation of some situations for the Rangers to train in. In this situation we can see that the previous monster is attacking the Earth, Kimberly is in her Zord, and Tommy tries to help several people. The putty patrollers try to attack the people, but Tommy starts to destroy them and asks Kimberly to help him by shooting from her Zord. Then Tommy tries to lead the people to a safe path, but it was a trap, and that path is full of putty patrollers. In the end, Tommy can't take them all and the people are trapped there. All this time Rita was talking to Tommy, trying to discourage him, but he was able to resist. Then the simulation ends, and Tommy feels disappointed that he couldn't save the people. Zordon tells him that the mission was set up to fail because with this they can see how he reacted in moments of failure. Tommy asks him to try again, but this time he wants to try alone and asks Kimberly to reschedule the coffee date. At the end of the day, Tommy gets home and tries to practice what he is going to say in the Bulk and Skull interview. He looks in the mirror and thinks about how to answer about what the Rangers mean to him. At that moment he feels a sword on his neck. It was Scorpina who tells him not to waste too much time as he only has a few moments left. After the Dragon Zord failed and Tommy couldn't control it, the Rangers wanted to know what happened that day. It was Billy who obviously had to start investigating what was going on with the Dragon Zord since he is the only Ranger with the knowledge necessary to repair a Zord. Trini is the only Ranger who can understand Billy's words when he tries to explain what is going on since she is so intelligent that her way of speaking is hard for most people to understand. Even though Trini understands, she still isn't smart enough to be able to fix the Zords herself. They are both trying to repair the Dragon Zord, and the explanation Billy says is that the Zords make a balance between what they feel on the outside and the Ranger who is controlling it. If one of these two parts fails, then the Zord goes out of control. This is the first time Billy is going to enter the cockpit of the Dragon Zord, and so he is a little nervous as he doesn't know what he is going to find in there. He thinks that the Zord might be made of some unknown magic since Rita was the one controlling Tommy, but Trini clarifies to him that Tommy is just like the other Rangers. Billy tells her that Tommy is just like the other Rangers, a fighter like the others. This is because Billy has never been a fighter and has always been a person who solves things with his intellect. Trini tries to encourage him by telling him that no one can do what he does, and she has learned a lot from him. This is why Billy could be the most well-rounded team member since he learned how to fight and is the smartest Ranger in history. Possibly, Billy could be the most important member of the team since he has created a lot of technology that the Rangers have used, and he has managed to save the other Rangers from many difficult situations. Both of them are still trying to repair the Dragon Zord, which is in the depths of the ocean, and Billy wants to do it fast to get out of the water. Scorpina continues into Tommy's room and starts threatening him to hand over the power coin. Tommy obviously refuses and tells her that Rita must be desperate to have to send a stand-in. At that moment, Tommy's mother comes to the door of the room to offer him food, and Scorpina tries to use this moment to further threaten Tommy. Because of this, Tommy gets very angry, and after pushing Scorpina's sword, he grabs her by her arm and teleports to a faraway place. She takes advantage of this moment to break Tommy's communicator since she thinks that now in this place, he will not be able to get help and now she will be able to defeat him. Tommy realizes the situation, so he does Morphin to start fighting. The battle begins and Tommy tries to attack with his dragon dagger, but Scorpina defends herself very well with her sword. Then she underestimates Tommy and tells him that he should think things over before fighting an experienced warrior when he is so young. She is a great warrior with many skills, and this is demonstrated when she disappears without Tommy noticing. Then she appears above him and attacks him hard. At the end we can see that Scorpina now has many putty patrollers behind her ready to attack Tommy. We now see Jason as a teacher in a martial arts class, and apparently his students respect him a lot. Kimberly is sitting waiting for the class to end so she can talk to Jason and enjoys listening to the students. The two begin a dialogue and she tells Jason that she just wanted to get out of her house since her parents are still fighting. Then she also tells him about what happened with Tommy, and now she thinks he might not even be noticing her. Jason tells her that class is over, so he needs some coffee and invites her over in case she still wants coffee. Kimberly accepts the invitation, and just then Jason's martial arts teacher shows up. She recommends to Jason that he should bring Tommy to teach the class together since he has a different fighting style because he comes from another place and that would be good for the students. In Jason's words we can notice that he didn't like this idea very much, but he still said he would think about it. At that moment, the communicator rings and Zordon tells the Rangers that Tommy needs help. In the middle of Tommy's battle, we can see the words of Rita, who is explaining what is truly going on as she has a hidden plan. Scorpina's sword has the Chaos Crystal, and every hit Tommy takes fills this crystal with energy. Rita chose Tommy because he never gives up and she knew he was going to keep fighting. This is going to keep causing the crystal to keep filling with energy and she will be able to complete her plan. Despite this, Rita wants Scorpina to take the power coin from him as she says this will get them the victory. Tommy is losing the battle and now Scorpina is going to try to take the power coin from him. At that moment, Jason and Kimberly arrive to save Tommy by firing their blasters at Scorpina. Jason starts fighting Scorpina while Kimberly tries to free Tommy using the blaster sword. Then Zack arrives to help the Rangers as well, and Scorpina continues to threaten the Rangers by telling them that Armageddon is coming. When Kimberly finally frees Tommy, Tommy starts running to try to catch up to Scorpina, saying that he can't let her escape. Despite this, Scorpina escapes and Tommy is left very confused in the middle of the forest as Rita starts talking to him again. She tries to turn him against the other Rangers by telling him that Jason wouldn't have needed help and basically making him feel like a failure. She also tries to make him think that the other Rangers think he is a failure, and this is why they must come help him. Although Tommy tries to stop Rita from playing with his thoughts, she manages to make him start to get confused. Because of this, Tommy tries to defend himself from the Rangers by explaining everything that happened since they are confused. The Rangers don't understand how Tommy was with Scorpina in that place and Tommy thinks that they are accusing him. Rita's words really have Tommy very confused, and this has started to create misunderstandings among the Rangers. At the command center, the Rangers along with Zordon try to figure out Rita's plan as they understand that she is after Tommy's power coin and is going to try anything to get it. Rita keeps talking to Tommy in his thoughts and tells him that the right decision is to give the coin to her. Despite this, Tommy says that he doesn't care what she tries, but he's not going to give her the power coin or the Dragon Zord. Kimberly then asks Billy and Trini if they managed to figure out what was going on with the Dragon Zord. Billy begins to explain that basically the Zord was fine, but for some unknown reason the Dragon Zord stopped obeying Tommy. Rita takes this opportunity to tell Tommy that he is to blame for this and that he is to blame for the destruction of the bridge. Suddenly, Tommy shouts very angrily and says that he is tired of all this, the annoying talk and all. At that moment, he could no longer continue talking and fainted. In Rita's palace we can see that Golder is locked up as a punishment for losing the Green Ranger. Because of this, Golder does not want to eat as he feels ashamed for failing his queen and now thinks that she will never release him. On Earth, after Tommy passed out, he now wakes up in his mother's house and she tries to wake him up. Tommy wakes up and is very confused, not knowing what was going on. His mother begins to explain to him that he had passed out and his ranger friends brought him home to rest. With those words Tommy was already suspecting that something was not right, and his mother started to tell him that he should just give up. As she says these words, she starts to take off her mask as she was not Tommy's mother, she was actually Rita in disguise. Tommy gets very scared, and Rita starts to tell him that she is the only one who really loves him. Suddenly, Tommy screams very loudly, and at that moment he wakes up again in the command center. This was all part of a hallucination he had while passing out. The other Rangers are very concerned as they don't understand what is happening to Tommy, as he is still very confused after passing out. Kimberly tries to calm him down and asks Alpha to get him some water. The Rangers think that something might have happened to him because of the fight he had with Scorpina. Trini starts checking Tommy's pulse and notices that his heart is beating too fast, so she tells Zordon that she thinks they should do a scan. Zordon thinks the scan would be very prudent, and Trini tries to calm Tommy down by telling him that she is going to try to find out what was happening to him. Rita, in her palace, starts to say that Tommy is losing control, and the best part is that the other Rangers haven't noticed. She also explains that she is still connected to the Green Ranger since, even though she is not under his spell, she is still connected to his powers since she gave them to him. Scorpina begins to apologize for failing the mission since she was supposed to take the power coin from Tommy and also the dragon dagger. Rita replies that she did an excellent job since what they needed was for Tommy to fight at his maximum power so that the green energy of chaos would begin to fill the crystal with energy. Now all that's left is the final attack, and the crystal will have enough energy to open the portal. Scorpina is confused as she thought they needed the dragon dagger for the final attack, but Rita tells her that they don't need the dragon dagger, they just need a dragon dagger. This means they can create a replica of the original dagger, and this would be enough. Finster brings a hot metal in liquid form to fill the hole of a putty patroller that has the dragon dagger impregnated after the fight with Tommy. This way they can create an exact replica of the original dagger. In the command center, Trini begins to test Tommy to find out what is happening in his body and all his energy. She starts talking to him to try to calm him down, as Tommy is very nervous and says that Trini is very good at relaxing her patients. Then, they both start to hear a very loud noise, and they leave the command center along with Alpha. This noise was caused by the Dragonzord, which tries to hit them with its tail, and Alpha 5 is destroyed. Trini and Tommy were able to dodge the blow, and now she thinks he called the Zord. They both morph to try to stop the Dragonzord, but it quickly attacks them, so Trini calls her Zord so they can fight. The battle of both Zords begins, and although Trini's Zord is very fast, still, the Dragonzord is very powerful and manages to knock him down. Tommy tries to control the Zord with the music of the dagger, so the Zord starts to get closer. Tommy keeps playing the melody to control the Zord, and when he thinks he is under control, the Dragonzord attacks him. Suddenly, Tommy wakes up again in the command center, and it seems that he had another evil vision provoked by Rita. He begins to tell Trini everything he saw in his vision, although he still thinks it all felt very real. She tries to calm him down and asks him to lie down again so she can review his entire energy scan. The other Rangers are gathered in a restaurant, and Zack is talking to them about what's going on with Tommy. He thinks something isn't right, but they don't know what it is yet. Despite everything that has happened, still, Kimberly keeps defending Tommy, then gets really angry and tells the other Rangers that if they have something to say they should say it now. Jason doesn't want to get too involved, but Zack starts to say that Tommy came to this town and Rita chose him, and she doesn't choose just anyone. They don't know if even Rita is still controlling him, since in the woods, he had a bad attitude, and that should scare them all. Kimberly asks Zack if he's not even going to give Tommy a second chance, but he replies that they just need to be much more careful. Kimberly then asks Jason for his opinion, and he tells her that with all the things that have happened, it's clear that there is something wrong with Tommy. Kimberly tells them that this is a reason for them to help him, and Jason replies that they are going to help him, but they can't do much until he admits to himself that he has a problem. Then Billy says he's going to be able to fix the communicator, and at that point Trini calls the Rangers to go to the command center to see something. At the command center, Trini shows everyone what an energy scan of any of the Rangers looks like, and we can see that it is an organized energy. She then shows Tommy's energy results, and this energy looks different. Billy says that the dragon coin is not connected to the grid in the same way as the other coins, but it is still weird that his energy looks like this. Zordon then explains that this could have many explanations, including just Tommy's body getting used to the energy. The Rangers are worried as they don't know if this is Rita's fault, and Zordon says he can't say for sure without more proof. Kimberly again starts to defend Tommy, saying that it is impossible that Rita is controlling him, since if he was having visions then he would have said so quickly. At this point, Tommy begins to confess everything that had been happening to him all this time. The Rangers begin to confront him and ask him questions about everything Rita tells him in those visions. Then they ask him why he didn't say anything, and Tommy says he wasn't sure what was going on. Then Jason, very angry, starts to claim him since Tommy put everyone's life in danger and he feels responsible for everyone else's life. Now Jason feels that they can't trust Tommy and tells him that he is not ready to go out and fight. Just then, the alarm goes off and the Rangers realize something is going on with the Dragon Zord. Apparently, Rita's plan worked. Scorpina managed to take full control of the Zord using the Dragon Dagger replica combined with the crystal. Now with control of the Dragon Zord, they can now make the final attack and complete the plan. Rita then tells Scorpina to go and destroy everything in her path. Scorpina starts smashing everything in her path, and the first thing she destroys is a ship that was nearby. She confirms to Rita that she can feel how the crystal keeps filling with energy and is now more powerful. Rita tells him to continue so that the crystal fills completely and opens the portal for Armageddon to begin. In the command center, the Rangers are very confused as they don't understand how Scorpina is controlling the Dragon Zord. Apparently, Zordon is not surprised as he says that Rita's history with the Dragon Zord is very long, and he seems to assume that because of this she must have found a way to control the Zord. Billy and Trini try to figure out what energy they are controlling the Dragon Zord with, but they can't figure out what is going on. Meanwhile, Jason asks Tommy to stay in the command center while they take care of everything and then says it's Morphin time. All the Rangers are morphing, but Jason knows they need to get help from the Zords, so he calls them all in. In the city we can see the Dragon Zord starting to destroy everything. People start to run away and Scorpina is very happy with what she is doing. Suddenly, we can see that Billy grabs the Dragon Zord by the foot with the chains of his Zord so he can't move and continue destroying. All the Zords are on the shore of the sea, so Jason asks Billy to drag the Dragon Zord into the sea to get it away from the shore. We can see how Billy has the Dragon Zord tied up and starts to turn around to drag it into the water. On the moon, Rita is very angry about everything that is happening since the Rangers are ruining her plan, so she asks Finster to send monsters to help Scorpina and distract the Rangers while she completes the mission. Just then, 3 giant shark-headed monsters appear and start beating up the Zords, and one of them breaks the chains that were keeping the Dragon Zord bound. Zack, Billy and Trini begin to battle the monsters, while Jason and Kimberly try to stop the Dragon Zord. The battle is very difficult as the monsters are very strong and Scorpina is attacking Jason with the full power of the Dragon Zord. In the command center we are about to witness the most important part of this story, and that is that Tommy starts to listen to Rita again. She tries to humiliate Tommy by telling him that he was left out again and that the hero life is not for everyone. Tommy gets very angry and tells Rita that he remembered some words Trini had said to him. When you go through something terrible, ignoring it empowers him, and the only way to deal with it is to face it. Then, he tells her that, instead of listening to her all the time, he should be the one talking, and he doesn't think she is real. He thinks she's just a reflection of his self-doubt, his insecurity, and everything he hates about himself. Yet, she is still himself, and the only way she has power is if he gives it to her. Then, Tommy is filled with self-confidence, and the specter of Rita begins to fade as she screams in despair. Now, Tommy is full of confidence and thinks that he can't just stand there and do nothing while the Rangers are about to be defeated. Zordon tries to persuade him by telling him that if he leaves, then he will be disobeying a direct order from Jason. Still, Tommy says that he has the real dagger and perhaps this can save the situation. He is also very sorry to learn that he is disobeying an order, but feels he must try, so he does Morphin. In the middle of the battle, we can see that Tommy appears on top of the Dragonzord's head and Jason is very surprised. Then, Tommy starts creating music with his dagger to try to control the Zord, but Scorpina taunts and makes the Zord shake, so Tommy falls off. Kimberly manages to catch Tommy with her Zord, and then Trini tells Jason that they need the Megazord since the monsters are too strong. At first, Jason refuses as he is trying to stop Scorpina, but Tommy tells him to call the Megazord as he has a plan. Jason trusts Tommy and begins the Megazord transformation while Tommy asks Kimberly to get as close as she can to the Dragonzord. He then lunges towards the Dragonzord and goes in, breaking the Zord's eye. As he battles Scorpina inside the Zord, the Megazord finishes his transformation and is ready to finish off the monsters. The second round of the battle begins. The Megazord is destroying the monsters with the sword, while Tommy continues to fight Scorpina inside the Dragonzord. All this distracts Scorpina, and Tommy is still focused on grabbing the dagger replica. He then manages to grab it and destroys it to stop the mission. Once again, the Rangers have managed to defeat Rita and damaged her entire plan. Even though the Rangers won the battle, in the command center they are arguing about what happened. Jason starts to call Tommy out for disobeying his orders. He tries to defend himself by saying they needed help, but Jason tells him that's not enough of an excuse. The fight gets really loud, and Tommy tells Jason that without him the Rangers wouldn't be there right now. Then Zack enters the argument and tells him that he couldn't trust what he was seeing. Tommy tries to explain to him that he managed to get himself under control and that there was no hallucination. He also explains that the dagger replica and the crystal were what caused his powers to go weird. Now that it's destroyed, they just need to concentrate on locking Scorpina up. He then turns to leave, but Jason tells him they're not done yet, and Zack grabs him by the arm to keep him from leaving. This causes Tommy to get very angry and he asks Zack to let go. Zack then tells him that he is tired of him telling the Rangers what they should do. Tommy again asks him to back off, and Zack asks him if he is going to be an evil Ranger again. The argument continues, and while they are still very angry, the crystal continues to fill with energy as it feeds off the chaos. Even though the dagger is broken, the crystal is still intact and can continue to fill with energy. Then, Tommy and Jason reach their limits of patience and are about to start fighting. This causes the crystal to fill completely with energy, which was Rita's plan, and then the portal opens. Jason asks the Rangers to put their helmets back on as they don't know what is happening, but at that very moment the energy creates a huge explosion. This explosion was so big that it destroyed half of the command center, and even though the Rangers are okay, we don't know where Zordon and Alpha are. Tommy thinks it's another hallucination, but Trini tells him it's all very real, and this is because they see a giant monster appear. Kimberly thinks they need the Zords, but something very strange starts to happen and the monster begins to shrink in size. The monster greets the Power Rangers and tells them that he has been waiting for this moment for a long time and is eager to destroy them. This is the end of the Green Ranger saga, and now the saga of this new monster will begin. If you want to see the next saga, like this video and subscribe for more Power Rangers comics.